Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to another episode of the Chocolate Shack. Inshallah, today I'd like to deal with hypocrisy, and particularly the hypocrisy that's coming from the Western states that are supporting this genocide in Israel. Before I go forward, I'd like to say that I do know that there are Black Americans who feel like we should pay more concentration or pay more attention to what's going on with our particular tribe. It is now political season in America, and that we should be all hands on deck to deal with what's going on with our own politics. You know, we're still dealing with reparations packages. We're still dealing with police brutality. We're still dealing with all the things that our ancestors have dealt with in this country, you know, still forging our way to having, I guess you can say, first class rights, right? We're still almost like second class citizens in this country. Not that we don't have the rights that they claim we should have by word. If you listen to what people say, then of course they'll say that, well, there's nothing in the law to bar your way. But we do know that what the Black American is dealing with in America is systemic, right? It's systematic. It's not just about the law itself. It's about how the country has baked in its laws and how the country has baked in its culture. And I said in other videos that, you know, I'm one person who don't believe. I do not have the belief that this country is going to ever treat the Black man and Black woman in America as equals. They'll never open up the gates where we can compete on any kind of equal footing. Basically, America has turned into the playground of the rich and the wealthy. And these people have used every weapon they can. They bribed the politicians. They bought up all the land, or they're buying up all the land. They're controlling the waterways. They're controlling all the natural resources. And they actually have now all of Americans working for them, right? So we're basically in a situation where we're serfs. We're back to the point where we have lords and masters, and then we have the serfs who are just working about every day to take care of the lords and the masters, the landowners. We're basically that in America. Unfortunately, the rich have also used a wedge between the Black American and the white American, right? They use racism as a wedge. This happened as early as 1619. I talked about that before with the Bacon's Rebellion, where we basically have seen time and time again, no matter who stands up, it could be Dr. King, it could be the Black Panther Party, it could be socialists, it could be communists. People have stood up to try to, you know, warn white America about that wedge that the capitalists and the rich and the wealthy, they use to separate us so that we can come together to do something about these oligarchs. But unfortunately, the white American has been convinced, en masse, they've been convinced that they're better than us. They've been convinced that their white skin and their pedigree, who they come from, is better than the Black American, right? In other words, we're still the niggers in the land. We are still the mudsills of the land. And until that changes, we're never going to see equality in this country. The Black man will never see it. That's my opinion. So here we are. Today I wanted to speak about hypocrisy and how it is the government is dealing with what's going on in Palestine. Now, to our Black brothers and sisters who feel like we need to concentrate on our own issues, I say that we can chew bubblegum and walk at the same time. We should never abandon what it is that we're doing for somebody else's struggles. But we have to also keep our head on a swivel about what's going on in the world. We have to look at what's going on in Venezuela. Why is it that all of a sudden our government want to punish Venezuela and put sanctions on them? They want to punish Iran and put sanctions on them, but then they'll let the state of Israel go mad. Right now, the state of Israel has attacked Iran, Iraq. They went into Rafah just 2 days ago or so, And now they're going into the West Bank. And nothing said. They can do that. But Venezuela is the bad guy. And Iran is the bad guy. So, of course, the chocolate shake is calling foul on that. And what we're trying to demonstrate here today is that Western hypocrisy, or it's just hypocrisy, nifaq, we call it in al-Islam, nifaq, right? The Arabic term, which basically means you're a hypocrite. You have one face, but behind that face, you have something else going on. Hypocrisy. As human beings, I was going to say young men, right? Because I know I dedicated the shadow specifically toward young men, but it's for everybody who will look on. But one thing that young men have to learn is that to be a good moral man who can lead his family and who could lead outside of his family, lead on his job. He can become a leader in an organization or some type of social structure, or he could be a leader in his own government. He could become a politician or any type of leader in his church, his mosque, his synagogue. What's important is that you have to learn how, or we have to learn how to backtrack on nifaq, hypocrisy. How it is that you show your face, whatever your face is, that face is the same face in your home, it's the same face on your job, and it's the same face when you go out into public or anywhere else you are. And that is a spiritual jihad. That's a warfare that we have to have against ourselves to be able to say that we're true to not only ourselves, to our Lord, and then to the society in general, right? So it doesn't mean that we have to be perfect, but what it does mean is that we should have a sense of shame within, right? We should have something that pokes and stab at the soul, that let us know that, hey man, you're not being honest, that you're showing a face of deception. You're not being real about who you are. And this is an ugly trait from the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wa alihi, that is Prophet Muhammad, on him be peace. We have plenty of statements that deal with nifaq, with hypocrisy. And some of those things are basic that we already know. Like you learned that from your mom and your dad and your grandma and your granddad, right? You don't need a great sage, although these people can be sages themselves. You don't need a great sage at some, high spiritual level to tell you when you are a hypocrite. Everybody knows that hypocrisy is ugly. Now, we look at our country and where we are right now in this massacre, this slaughter that's going on right now in Israel. And mind you, we have people even in the media, in the news, who are saying that it shouldn't even be called a genocide. There are actually debates going back and forth in certain circles about, whether or not this is a genocide in Palestine, Israel. And it just blows my mind. Like, come on. This is getting to be insane. You have 45,000 Palestinians that are dead. The vast majority of them, 90% of them, 95% of them are non-combatants. These are people who have nothing to do with being soldiers. They're not a part of Hamas. They're not a part of any organization where they're literally picking up arms and fighting against the Israeli defense forces, right? These people are not fighting against IDF. They're just trying to live, and they're just citizens. But according to the Israelis, you can't be a Palestinian and just be a citizen. If you're a Palestinian, obviously you're part of Hamas, right? So because this is the case, now they're attacking these people and they're basically slaughtering them. They're running them off the land. And the end game, so that everybody's clear about where the chocolate shake is on this, the end game is for them to take the land. That's all this is about. This is not about anything else. This is not about terroristic threats. This is not about any of these shenanigans that these people put up. Smoke and mirrors is all this is. Smoke and mirrors. At the end of the day, we know exactly what this is about. This is about European Jews who decided that they want to take Palestine for themselves. Zionist, whatever term you want to use, that's supposed to be the politically correct term. And they're doing exactly what European peoples have done all over the world before. They're stealing. They're just saying we have bigger guns and we have a big brother that's backing us up, the United States of America, and we want to do whatever the hell we want to do to run these Palestinians off the land, right? So they're doing the same thing that Europeans and other people, not just to pick on the whites, because other people done the same thing. When human beings want to steal something from somebody else, they want to take something from somebody else, then they just go ahead and, you try to get to the bigger gun, the bigger baseball bat, the bigger weapon to go inside, and you go inside with your big guns and your big baseball bats or whatever weapon you have with your philosophy that is designed for you to take people's stuff. And then you just go ahead, man, and clobber the people and shoot them down and kill them, treat them like vermin, they start calling them names and they're not human and they can't defend themselves while you can defend yourself, right? And then you go inside and you take what you want. This is what we're looking at. This is nothing but modern day colonization, and it's playing out right before our very eyes, right? So shame on us for those of us who are not speaking on it or not doing anything to stop it, because we know what the great prophet said about that. He said, when you see an evil, that you should act on it and try to change it with your hands. And if you can't act on it and change it with your hands, then the great prophet said, then you should step up and you should speak out against it. You use your mouth, you use your tongue, and you condemn it. And he said, if you can't do that, then you hate it in your heart, knowing that hating it in your heart, that is the weakest in faith. That's the weakest thing you can do. So we are people who should be moving on this thing. And if you can't move on it, then you should be speaking out against it. And this is my attempt today. So what I'm saying today is I'm looking at what's going on in Israel, and I'm looking at how the Western media is dealing with it. And I say to myself, look at the hypocrisy. The very people who just 70 years, 80 years ago were being mistreated by the Germans. These very people who the world had to come and basically rescue them out of their condition are the very people now who are putting their foot down on the Palestinians and stealing these people's land. Oh boy, the human being, we have short memories, don't we? And it also goes back to the ideal that hurt people hurt people. So all this floods into my mind as I see the media and I see these Zionists use the media to say that even college students protesting on campuses is terrorism. There's a college professor right now at one of these colleges up north, one of these Ivy League schools, who is saying that just because these students are protesting against the genocide in Palestine, he's saying that these college students now should be akin to terrorists. See, that's maddening and that's frightening. Now, obviously, in America, they claim that we have a First Amendment right, and that so long as you're not on somebody's private property, that you can protest and do whatever you want to do. And of course, that's what these students are doing, although on the college campus, that is private property. So the police department came in, the New York Police Department, it's Columbia University, that just came to me. So the police department came in and they started doing what they do. They start cracking heads and running these students off the college campus, right? When they did that, today, even more students showed up to confront these police officers and to confront the school who's supporting what's going on in Israel. Economically, they're supporting it, right? And they're taking money from people who are Zionist Jews. What happened to these people's ability to protest? And why are we seeing, hearing all of this hypocrisy? If the Jewish persons want protection and they're saying people shouldn't be anti-Semitic, then we applaud that, because nobody should be anti-Semitic. That's very clear. But on the other hand, you mean people can't speak out against what these Zionist people are doing over here in Palestine and stealing these people's land? So that means that you could use this trick of saying that, okay, well, if you don't do what we want you to do, or you don't do it in the fashion we want you to do it in, because we have money. And that's what they're doing. It's all about the Benjamins. Remember that? Remember that was said by Ilhan Omar, the politician? Remember she said that? Oh, this is all about the Benjamins. How it is these politicians, how it is that the media, how it is that these schools, how it is that people fall in line for a slice of the devil's pie. Didn't she say that? Now, they wanted to punish her when she said that years ago. Oh, that's anti-Semitic, it's anti-Semitic. And now we're seeing that no, what she was saying was absolutely true. It had nothing to do with the people's race. It had nothing to do with the fact that they were Jewish. And that's another thing about the chocolate shake. I don't believe that being a Jew means that you're a particular race. Judaism for me is not a race. It's a religion. We'll talk about that another day. But right now, Ilhan Omar said years ago, it's all about the Benjamins. And of course, if you're a black American, you already know this. We already know how white America, or some amongst white Americans, put up a fight in the past to stop us from having first-class rights. We just wanted civil rights in this country. But people would pay these politicians to say the damnedest things and do the damnedest things to block our way just to become first-class citizens. And in this country, it's made legal. People who have money can pay off politicians in this country. It is legal for them to take a position. So although their constituents are telling them, hey, we don't like what's going on in Israel. We don't like the fact that these people are doing this to the Palestinians. The politicians say, damn y'all. Even though you voted for me and put me in this position, damn you. I'm going to take this money from these Zionist Jews and I'm going to fatten up my pockets. And that's what these people are doing. This is hypocrisy. So the Chocolate Shake felt it necessary to talk about this and to let these young people know, if you're out there, if you ever come across one of these videos, I say you push with everything you have. You use your mind, your body, and your soul, and you fight and you push forward to do something about this genocide in Palestine. Because if you don't, you will weep in the future about the fact that on your watch, that on our watch, that we allowed this genocide. The same way that our parents and their parents weep about what happened to the Jews during the Holocaust. They wept. We wept because of that. We hurt because of what it is that people allowed Germany to do to these people. And now some of these same people, or the children, the descendants of these people, are doing it to the Palestinians. So do your job. Mount up your defense. Fight like hell and do what the great prophet said. If you see an evil, you act against it with your hands. You try to do something with your hands. If you can't do anything physically, you just can't, you're not in that position. Then he said, you speak against it with your mouth. Protest it. Raise up against it with your mouth. And if you can't do that, he said, then hate it in your heart. And know that that is the least of faith. So that's all the Chocolate Shake have for you today. I pray that this message hits your soul in the way that I hope it will. If you like the message, please like it. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe so we can grow the channel. Thank you very much. And God willing, we'll see you next time. The Shake loves you. Take care. Peace.